Yeah, so Lido Impact Staking transforms Ethereum staking into a lifeline for GiveDirectly, and each reward payout automatically drips into GiveDirectly's wallet, which with principles for donors staying untouched. And so that steady drip of yield funds, it funds school fees, it funds meals, it funds small businesses that people are trying to start up in some of the poorest communities in the world. Separately, it's transparent, it's on-chain giving, and by donating yield and not principal, anyone can give a sort of sustainable source of poverty relief without touching their wallets. And so for GiveDirectly, the more Lido scales, the more we can bring in a reliable source of funding to recipients without some of the grant management overhead that you get through other forms of donation methods. And for us, it's sort of a treat to find a partner who's equally motivated to rally a community to address extreme poverty and help us focus on delivering those funds seamlessly. Yeah, there's plenty. And we even share some of our stories on the GiveDirectly website on a live feed. But I'll pick one of a 19-year-old woman named Lantia in rural Malawi. She wasn't able to go to college since her parents were farmers. And keep in mind, Malawi, this is a country incredibly prone to flooding, cyclones, and droughts. But her dreams to become an accountant, and told us that in her village, many of the women chose to marry early just to get financial support. She obviously didn't want this. And so the money completely turned her life around. She spent 300,000 of Malawian kwacha on a sewing machine and started her own tailoring shop. And that's just about $170 in US dollars. And so literally to start a business. So that $170 might get someone in the US 2 weeks of groceries. This could literally transform someone's entire financial life. And so she's now making her own stable income. In her own words, she's feeling truly empowered. And that's what really gets me going. And I think the beauty of these transfers is that's just a fraction of the money that we sent over to her. She used the other money to buy food, help her parents feed the family, and put roughly about a fifth of that transfer into savings. And so I think a big lesson from this is that people are really thoughtful when they're given life-changing amount of money. They plan accordingly, they know what's best for them. And what really stuck with me from this story is when Lantia said about her future, she said, in 5 years, I see myself differently. I won't have to rely on anyone else for financial support, and I'll be standing on my own. This cash has given me the opportunity to change my life. And so I think some folks have the assumption that these are one-off grants for a very short-term gain, but this is something that transforms people for years on out, and we see a lot of long-term benefits of cash as well. Yeah, so for crisis zones specifically, we've been delivering emergency cash assistance since 2017 across 13 countries. And so this includes crisis zones, but it also includes things like climate emergencies, natural disasters, and we had a huge COVID response. And I think the things I'll highlight first is the speed at which GiveDirectly and cash can be delivered to people who need it quickly. And we responded to the LA wildfires and delivered over $1 million in just 2 weeks. And then 4 months later, we leveraged learnings from that to get cash out to the recent floods in Texas in under a week. And so this was our fastest ever response in the US. And internationally in the Congo, we were able to reach recipients displaced by conflict in DRC within 5 days. And so to put in perspective, this is compared to about 100+ day norm for international assistance that people in this area are typically receiving. So speed is certainly one of the things that I'll highlight there. But the next is efficiency. I think a lot of donors think about, how much of my money is actually going into the hands of the people that this organization is saying they're serving. And our LA wildfires response is an example. More than 90% of the dollars donated actually went directly into the hands of survivors, with only 2 full-time staff working on this program at the time. And then I think the last thing we've seen is just sort of pushing the envelope on how we can be innovative in this space. And so we've also sent anticipatory aid to climate survivors. And what that means is getting cash to folks before a disaster strikes instead of after. And so this is one of the things we're studying on, what are the benefits of doing the research and looking at, maps and weather patterns to see, can we actually get aid to people before a disaster strikes? And does that make a meaningful difference to recipients versus getting that cash to them after? And so we've seen cash aid consistently outperform in-kind aid across countries and contexts. And it sort of avoids the inefficiencies and a lot of the supply chain challenges of delivering goods, many of which people do not want. I think what's even better about this is recipients prefer cash to meet their own needs, and it's pretty intuitive, but it's a form of aid that comes quickly and it allows people to do what they want. And so our job at GiveDirectly is now to make sure more people are getting cash as fast as possible. Yeah, I would say do some research on how far the money you spent maybe at a restaurant or bar could go in places where people are earning less than $2 to $3 a day. With my job, I spend a lot of time talking to donors about what donating a small percentage of your wealth can do for hundreds or thousands of families. And Lido Impact Staking is one of the more innovative tools I've seen to do this for a community that's really eager to solve some of the world's toughest problems. And I think money is such a wild concept because when we talk about, small staking contributions, that small staking contribution could literally mean life or death for families that have been predominantly ignored by the aid sector for decades.